Ever feel like, your mind's just like a whirlwind? All these thoughts and emotions, like it's hard to find any peace. Well, that's kind of what we're diving deep into today, the Lankavatara Sutra. It's a really important Buddhist text.
Okay.
It's all about how if we understand our minds, the nature of the mind, then that can lead to wisdom and compassion and even freedom from suffering.
Yeah, the Lankavatara Sutra, it introduces this really profound concept. It says that all phenomena, everything we experience, it arises from the mind itself.
Now, when we say mind,
right,
we don't mean like some physical thing, out there. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's more like a vast space, where thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, they all just kind of come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And the sutra, it calls this the mind-only perspective, or sometimes it's called Cittamatra.
Right.
And it suggests that even what we think of as external reality,
mm-hmm.
What's outside of us, that's actually a projection.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaped by our inner world. All of our thoughts and emotions and past experiences.
It's kind of like you have a mirror. Imagine a mirror that's perfectly clear and still.
Okay.
And that mirror, that represents your pure empty mind.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. And now imagine all sorts of images. They start appearing in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
These images, they represent your thoughts and your emotions and just everything that you perceive. But just like reflections in a mirror, right? These experiences, they're temporary.
Yeah.
They just arise and then they pass away. And they never actually change the mirror itself.
So our mind is like the mirror.
Exactly.
Capable of experiencing all these countless things without being defined by them.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a powerful idea. Because if our experiences aren't actually as solid or permanent as they seem, well, that means we can actually find freedom. Freedom from all the ups and downs of life.
Right. And the sutra, it kind of drives this point home. It uses this parable called the parable of the illusory painting.
Okay.
So you have this king, and he commissions an artist to create a lifelike painting of his kingdom, super detailed. And this painting, it's so detailed that people actually mistake it for the real thing.
Wow.
But the artist, he reminds the king, hey, this is just an image. It's not the actual kingdom.
Right.
And in the same way, our minds, they create these detailed, almost like paintings of reality based on our perceptions. And these paintings, they feel real. But the sutra, it's telling us to see beyond these, mental constructions.
So it's saying our perception of reality isn't necessarily actual reality.
Exactly.
It's just our mind's interpretation of it.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting. The sutra goes on to say that even our sense of self and other, good and bad, these are also mental projections.
Yep.
Like all dualities, they're illusions created by the mind.
So even the way we divide the world into categories, that's not necessarily how it truly is.
Right. And these illusions, they're at the root of our suffering because we cling to what we see as good and we push away what we think is bad.
Yeah.
And that creates this sense of separation.
Separation between us and everything else.
Yeah. Between ourselves and others. And that leads to, all sorts of difficult emotions like anxiety and fear and anger.
So the sutra is saying that our suffering comes from this illusion of separation that we're creating in our minds.
Mm-hmm. But it also offers a path to freedom from these illusions. And it's through mindfulness and insight.
What does that mean exactly?
It means learning to observe our thoughts and emotions and perceptions without judgment. We have to recognize that they're all impermanent. They're constantly changing.
Okay, so rather than getting swept away by our thoughts and emotions, we're learning to just observe them like they're passing by.
Right. Like, let's take anger, for example.
Right.
When we experience anger, it can feel so powerful, like it's directed at this specific person or this situation.
Yes, absolutely.
But from the sutra's perspective, anger, it's just a temporary mental construct. It arises from specific conditions.
That's not who we are.
It's more like a wave. It swells up and then it eventually just dissipates.
Like if someone cuts me off in traffic and I get angry, that anger is just a reaction to that event.
Yeah.
It's not like some inherent part of me.
Exactly.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
The sutra encourages us to observe that anger without judging ourselves. Just see it as a passing wave. And by recognizing its impermanent nature, we actually become less controlled by it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So if we can learn to observe our experiences without getting so caught up in them, we can find more peace and freedom.
Right.
The Lankavatara Sutra, it uses another helpful analogy to illustrate this. It's called the movie screen analogy.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
So imagine you're in a movie theater and you're totally engrossed in this film. You're on this roller coaster of emotions. You identify with the characters. You're laughing, you're crying, you're feeling it all.
Yeah.
But what if you pause for a moment? You really observe what's happening. You realize that the movie, it's just light and sound projected onto a screen.
Right.
And the screen itself,
It's unchanging.
it remains unchanged no matter how dramatic the movie gets.
So our minds are like that screen.
Yeah.
And our experiences, all our thoughts and emotions and perceptions, those are like the movie
Yeah.
playing out on the screen.
Exactly.
And when we over-identify with the movie,
Right, when we forget about the screen.
we get lost in the drama. We get lost in the suffering.
Yeah. But if we remember the screen, if we remember the unchanging nature of our own minds, we can find that sense of freedom, that sense of peace. We can still experience the movie, we can still feel the emotions, but we don't have to be controlled by them.
So how do we actually put this into practice? What are some tangible takeaways from the Lankavatara Sutra that we can start applying to our own lives?
Well, the sutra, it actually offers a few practical suggestions.
Okay.
First, it says, try to observe your emotions like they're reflections in the mind.
Okay.
Not like they're solid realities.
Right.
So, like, the next time you're hit with a strong emotion, like anger or sadness or even joy,
Yeah.
just pause for a sec and ask yourself, is this feeling solid or is it just a reflection? Is it permanent or is it just passing through?
That's such a simple question.
Yeah.
But it's powerful.
Right. Yeah.
I can see how just shifting your perspective like that could make a big difference.
Totally.
What else can we do?
Pay attention to the stories that your mind creates.
Okay.
We're constantly telling ourselves these stories, right? About ourselves, about other people, about the world.
Yeah.
And they feel so real. These stories so convincing.
Right.
But the sutra says, hey, recognize those stories as mental constructs, They're just interpretations, not the absolute truth.
So like if I'm telling myself, oh, I'm not good enough.
Right.
Or I'm always going to fail.
Yeah.
The sutra would say, that's just a story.
Exactly. It's a story that your mind has created.
What?
Maybe based on your past experiences or your beliefs or how you were conditioned,
Yeah.
It might feel very real to you, that story. But it's not the whole truth. And when you can recognize it as just a story, that can help you loosen its grip on you.
So then we can start to create new stories.
Yeah.
Right. More empowering stories for ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's great.
The sutra, it's all about waking up from those limiting narratives, and then you can start to see the world, see yourself with more clarity and compassion.
The sutra has one last story.
Okay.
That really emphasizes the nature of reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story of the sage and the dream.
Oh, yeah, I love this one.
What is it?
So, this sage is meditating, and he falls asleep.
Right.
And in his dream, he becomes a butterfly.
Okay.
He's flying freely through this beautiful garden.
Wow.
But then he wakes up,
Uh-huh.
and he's left wondering, am I a man who dreamt he was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly dreaming I'm a man?
That's quite a question.
Right.
What's the deeper meaning there?
Well, the sutra's highlighting the dreamlike nature of all of our experiences. Yeah. Everything we perceive, everything we think, everything we feel, it feels so real while we're experiencing it.
Yeah, totally.
But just like a dream,
yeah,
it eventually fades away.
It's like that saying, we're such stuff as dreams are made on.
Yeah.
I can see how truly grasping the impermanence of our experiences, that could lead to a really profound shift in perspective.
Exactly.
Wow.
The sutra teaches that when you recognize this dreamlike nature, that can lead to a sense of detachment, a deeper understanding of life, and ultimately a sense of peace and freedom.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Exploring all these really profound concepts from the Lankavatara Sutra.
Yeah.
Can you just sum up the key takeaways for us?
Sure. At its core, the sutra is asking us to see the mind like it's a mirror.
Okay.
It's this vast empty space that reflects all of our experiences. These experiences are thoughts, emotions, perceptions. They arise and pass away like reflections.
Right.
Without any inherent substance. And it's when we cling to those reflections, when we mistake them for solid realities, that we create suffering for ourselves.
So the path to freedom, according to the sutra, it lies in recognizing the true nature of our minds.
That's it.
And the true nature of our experiences.
That's beautifully put.
Wow.
The sutra is offering us a path to wake up from this dream of illusion and experience the world with more clarity, more compassion, and more peace.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot less overwhelmed after this deep dive.
Me too.
It's amazing how these ancient teachings can offer such profound insights into the human experience.
I know, it's a testament to the power of these wisdom traditions.
A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this exploration of the Lankavatara Sutra.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
And to you listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We encourage you to take some time to reflect on what we've discussed today. Pay attention to your own mind, to the thoughts and emotions that come and go. Notice how your mind creates stories about you and the world.
Right.
And remember that image of the mirror. What reflections are appearing in your mind right now? Can you see them as temporary, impermanent, ultimately empty of inherent substance?
Good questions.
We'll leave you with that thought.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
You know, I'm curious about this idea of detachment. The sutra keeps bringing it up.
Yeah.
What does it really mean to be detached, and how do we cultivate that in our lives?
Detachment in the sutra doesn't mean like becoming emotionless or withdrawing from the world.
Okay.
It's more about like shifting our relationship to our experiences.
Okay.
Instead of clinging so tightly to things, we learn to kind of hold them lightly,
Okay.
recognizing that they're impermanent.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions.
Right.
Or denying them.
No.
It's more about observing them with a sense of space.
Yeah, with awareness.
Okay.
Think back to that mirror analogy again.
Okay. The mirror, it reflects everything.
Right.
But it doesn't cling to any of those reflections.
Right.
It just allows them to appear and disappear, without any resistance.
Yeah.
And cultivating detachment, it's about developing that same quality of mind.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if we're always clinging to things, clinging to our desires, our fears, our ideas about how things should be, we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment.
Right.
Suffering.
Exactly. And when we let go of that clinging, when we can embrace the impermanence of all things, that's when we create space for peace and freedom to arise.
The sutra also seems to emphasize that this path of awakening, it's not just about intellectual understanding.
Right.
It's about direct experience.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
The Lankavatara Sutra, it encourages us to actually put these teachings into practice in our daily lives.
So to observe our own minds and see how these concepts play out in our own experience.
Yeah, like we're invited to become scientists of our own minds.
I like that.
Right. To experiment with these ideas and see what we discover.
Yeah.
And in that process of exploration, we begin to develop wisdom and compassion.
Okay.
Not just as abstract concepts, but as lived realities.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of these teachings.
I'm so glad.
And how they can be applied to my own life.
Wonderful.
Thank you again for sharing your insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been a truly enriching conversation.
Likewise.
And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Lankavatara Sutra.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Absolutely.
Remember to like and subscribe to the deep dive so you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's deep dive, we'd love for you to leave a review and share it with your friends.
Yeah, spread the word.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.